I refuse to have a bad day today, because the spring is coming and the darkness is fading away and the sun is finally rising in the mornings on a clear sky, rather than being surrounded by darkness 24/7. The winter will be over soon, and the spring and the summer are coming. So I refuse to have bad days now. I refuse to have bad days. I refuse to let myself self-sabotage and self-harm by making stupid decisions and having shitty habits. Today I'm back with another video related to porn addiction, and the reason is I've been struggling recently with making videos about various topics, and I've had to think about the purpose of my channel, and I've had to think about the mission of my channel and the reason for why I do the things that I do. And I thought back all the way to why I started in the first place in 2023 summer. And I started this channel, for those who don't know, I started this channel to document my nofap journey because I wanted to quit porn, and I thought I had tried everything already, so I had no choice but to make it sort of public and create a YouTube channel to talk about it publicly. And so I created a channel and I started posting, and I actually posted every single day for almost a month trying to do nofap. And that failed after about 20 days or so. But then something unexpected happened, and I happened to just randomly meet my girlfriend. And meeting my current girlfriend made me stop watching porn and masturbating compulsively, and made me actually able to do nofap for 2 months straight and then go on without porn for half a year after that. She didn't do anything. She literally just existed in my life. She had a presence in my life suddenly, and that changed everything. So that sort of taught me that sometimes in life we just have to believe, we have to be open, and we have to be positive. And by that I mean, if I wasn't open and positive, then maybe I wouldn't have talked to my girlfriend and started talking to her and meeting her and dating her and so on, if I was too skeptical. And that's what I really want to talk about today in this video, is that no matter how bad it is, you will get out eventually, as long as you somehow manage to keep that light, that fire alive inside of you, that positive belief in the future. So to go back to what I said right in the beginning of this video, I thought about what's the purpose of this channel and what's my why. And I realized that I still feel passionate about wanting to help people who are struggling with porn addiction and struggling in either alone or in relationships with this problem. And so that's why I decided to sit down and talk about porn addiction again, even though I had thought that I want to make videos about other topics already. So let's get into it. Let's get into the topic of this one. So I think about porn addiction and what it's about and what are the difficulties related to it on and off pretty much all the time. And I still try to figure it out, and I still try to figure out how to help people who are going through it, because it's not just about trying to cure it. It's not just about trying to quit porn addiction and watching porn. It's not just about trying to cure a disease that is porn addiction. It's also, we need to make these videos, us who are successful with quitting. Us who have it worst, who go through the worst levels of addiction and really know what it's like. I think we should, well, obviously you don't have to, but I feel like I have this obligation to post encouraging content so that even a few people could see it and could feel better about their lives. So that's why I'm making this one. And the topic in this one, let's finally try to get to the actual topic. But one of the things is I often try to think of a topic for a video and then I'm obsessing over sticking to the topic, even though I could just relax and be more laid back and just talk around the topic. But anyway, so one of the things I thought about recently was the identity thing. Because the fact is that the way to finally leave porn behind is if you are able to change your identity into someone who just doesn't use it anymore. But I think my biggest struggle always was the fact that I had two identities. And the thing is that when you admit, when you understand and you find out that you have an addiction with porn, that is the moment when you attach a new identity onto your existing one. Because I think what porn does, because we can consume it in isolation, I think that's the reason why it becomes a separate identity and a separate reality, because we can do it completely isolated from everything else. We are not that person ever around other people. We are that when we are alone. And that's why it can grow and fester in the darkness. But the point I'm trying to make here, the point I want to make is, once you actually think that you have an addiction, that is the moment you attach the new addict identity to yourself. So now you consider yourself a porn addict, and that is an identity on itself. And for me, and I would think this happens to other people as well, and that's why I'm making this. For me, the biggest problem in the past few years, especially in particular, was the fact that I kept growing and cultivating the porn addict identity in secret, and I kept feeding it, and I got a kick out of it. It was not about watching porn. It was not about seeing the boobs and the butts on the screen. But it was the idea, it was the thought of, hey, I'm a porn addict and I can't stop watching, and that turns me on. And this is something that can these days be hijacked even further by communities online, such as the gooning community and the pornosexual community and the porn addict community, because there are literally porn addict communities these days online, and there's porn created by porn addicts for porn addicts, and the whole purpose of that is to just make it worse and worse. And this is what is so dangerous about porn these days, because that is actually becoming more mainstream. So now we have a problem that if you have admitted to yourself that you are addicted to porn, then you have a porn addict identity. And now there's literally porn out there, an actual verified, I mean like not amateur content, adult content creators who are making addiction porn for porn addicts. So now this separate identity you have can be fed and grown even bigger. And so it's not, this made me think and understand that it's actually not just that you need to cultivate and create an identity of somebody who is amazing and who is strong and who is successful. Because we don't have just one identity, and that is the problem here. If we think that we only have one identity and we can quit porn by reinforcing that one single identity of who am I, then we might not be able to escape this disease, because we actually have multiple identities. So we need to prevent that addict identity from growing bigger and stronger. We do need to cultivate the identity of who am I, because we need to compete with the other identity. So it's a competition between identities. So that's why it's important, sure, that, you know, I went out to run in the middle of winter in the cold for long distances, being tired, being hungry, feeling like shit. I had just been jerking off for 3 hours or something. And I sort of punished myself for doing so by going for a long run. But at the same time, it was actually me wanting to become stronger, and it was me being inspired by characters like, it was me being inspired by people like David Goggins. I wanted to become so strong and badass that I just can't imagine that strong and badass character being addicted to porn. I can't imagine that character watching porn. But here is the problem. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter how handsome you are. Nothing fucking matters. It doesn't matter if you have a beautiful girlfriend. Nothing matters. None of that matters if you have another identity separate from that main one. And you are growing and cultivating and feeding this separate secondary porn addict identity on the side in the darkness. Because you have time alone. You have time with your phone, your smartphone. And once again, we get to the point that smartphones are fucking bad and maybe you should get a dumb phone. But my point is, you have, for better and for worse, you have time on your own, by yourself, alone. And in those moments, this is my experience, but I believe this is the experience for many, you feed that porn addict identity, and it doesn't matter what your main identity is. And one of the problems is also that for some reason humans are attracted to forbidden things, to forbidden fruit. And also, when you can't, if you spend a long time away from porn, then you have time to actually crave that. Because, you know, distance makes the heart grow fonder when it comes to relationships between two humans. Having distance from one another makes you miss each other. And unfortunately, this is the same case with porn. When you don't watch porn for a while because you can't, you crave it more and more. And then you finally get to watch it alone in the dark. And you put it on. And it was actually that craving that you were chasing. It was actually the dopamine. It was the chase. Because that's another thing. Porn addicts are often addicted to the chase, to the search, to the hunt. You're looking for more. You're waiting to get to see it. Then you see it and it quickly becomes boring, so you find something else. It's always about finding, because dopamine is the hormone that makes us go after things. And porn addiction is largely about being addicted to the rush of dopamine that you get when you go after things. And this is also why porn addiction is never fulfilling. This is why we consume it and it feels amazing. And I'm the person who, like, I want people to admit that if they feel genuine physical pleasure from viewing it, I think we should admit that we get that. But we should also understand that it's not worth the cost. So it's not fulfilling because that's the only thing it does for us. It's the short-term pleasure, and mostly it's about going after something and feeling great about going after something. So anyway, the point of this video was and is that we have actually multiple identities. And I don't think, comment below, because I know there's so many different people who experience themselves and their lives differently and who have different success stories in quitting porn. But I just thought about what my biggest struggle always was. And it was actually that, especially towards the end in the last couple of years. Also, as it started to get more and more common to see and find that type of pornography online that was catering towards addicts and encouraging addiction, which is fascinating that it's legal. Because if you think about, imagine there being alcoholism encouragement content creators, because we have content creators on OnlyFans, for example, who are making literally porn addiction content. They're encouraging people to be addicted and ruin their lives. And that's somehow legal. It's fascinating. And fucked up. So anyway, my experience is that I got the biggest kick out of fantasizing about getting to watch porn and fantasizing about being an addict and being so dirty and being so bad. That's seriously what got me a kick towards the end. Like, oh yeah, I'm so addicted. I love it. And then at the end of the session, I felt like, what the fuck was that? Because, for example, now the spring is approaching in Finland and it's becoming really beautiful. The sun is shining and the nature will revive in the next month or 2 months or so. Slowly, the nature will come alive again. And it's so beautiful. And when I think back to last year, instead of going out and enjoying life, being happy and looking at the nature wake up and loving life, instead of that, a lot of the time I was glued to my computer, my face right in front of my computer screen, watching pornography and being like, I love being addicted. And then when the session was over, I felt like I pretty much felt like crying. But I have this mentality that as a man, I won't cry easily, and I will try to fix and solve things and problems with something else than crying. So what I did was that I trained hard at the gym, or I went running a long distance, and I tried to be strong and badass. Which is another topic for another time, related to self-harming and sort of, in this case, it's not harming myself when I'm actually getting into better shape physically, but it was a response where I punished myself. And you know, watching porn is self-harm, by the way. And it could actually be that your porn addiction is because you are actually harming yourself. So it's not that different from you cutting yourself. It's just sort of, you waste your time knowingly. You sort of sabotage yourself knowingly because you have a mental health issue. And I'm 100% sure that my porn addiction was a mental health issue, but I just never went to a therapist because I'm a stubborn man. But anyway, that was a bit all over the place as always. But I will continue talking about these topics in the future, and I will read more about these topics. I will listen to podcasts, as always. I will try to learn more and more about this issue, and I think this is something that I will never forget. I think this is something I will always be passionate about. It was actually easy for me to sit in front of my computer today and record for 20 minutes straight talking about this topic, because I'm passionate about trying to figure out what happened to me in my past and what's going on with other people. And I just know from experience, I loved to listen to people talk about this topic when I was suffering through it. When I had wasted my day watching pornography and I felt like shit, I liked to listen to someone talk about the topic. So there you go. I hope you get some value out of this. I hope these videos will help those who struggle with this problem. And I'll be back with videos about different topics in the future. And I'll be back with fitness videos a bit later, because right now my home gym is waiting for my dad to paint the floor. So it's going to take a couple of weeks until I get to use my home gym again. And then I'm going to record some videos on fitness, which is the savior of my life. The saving grace of my life is fitness. The only thing that kept me confident through my addiction was being physically fit, to be honest. So anyway, if you're interested in these videos and if this helps you, then please subscribe and like and all that. And I hope you have an amazing year. I know when people go through that addiction, it's like the sun is shining outside and the life is beautiful, but you don't see it. Like you look outside and you see the sunlight, but you don't. You visually, your eyes see it, but you don't register it in your mind because your mind is so blurry from just, your brain is like mush, your brain is like foggy and full of filth, basically, from watching all the porn. And that's a terrible place to be. But we can all get through it. I believe literally that anyone can get through it. We have different stories, we have different problems, we have different... It takes a different time, it takes a different method. For some people it's more easy, and for some people it's the most difficult thing in the world. And for those people for whom it's the most difficult thing in the world, you have to understand that you're not any worse than anyone else. It's not that because it's difficult for you, you are worse. It's not more difficult for you because you are worse. It just happens that you are someone for whom it is more difficult. So once you actually get out of it, once you actually destroy that addiction and you are free finally, you are more tough than those who get out of it easily. That's what it means. It's not that those who get out of it easily are more tough than you. They just didn't have it as hard as you. For them, it was just easier. It's kind of like there's people who are born super big and strong, and they can bench 225 without training at all. And I'm not kidding. Like there's people for whom physical labor is really fucking easy compared to some others, some really small people. Then you have the small people, and for them it's really fucking hard. You need to train hard as fuck to get to 225. You need to eat like mad and train hard. So that's the same thing with this. It's not that you were just born with different traits and with a different path and a different story. That's just the way it is, and it's cruel and it's not fair. Definitely, it's really fucking unfair, but we just have to accept that. But also we can turn that into a triumph. We can turn that into something positive, like, hey, because this is so difficult for me, it means that I am one tough motherfucker to survive this. And when I'm through this, I can help others and I can tell my story of how it was so fucking difficult, yet I was able to conquer it. So that's all I got for today. So bless you and have an amazing spring. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and listening.